There will never, ever be another story like One Piece. In this video, not only will I prove and substantiate that claim, but I'm gonna go above and beyond. I know that this isn't gonna be a super long video, which is something that One Piece deserves, and I will talk about that later in this video too. This video, I want to establish the fact that One Piece is a modern classic of literature. And I also want to announce potentially the biggest project I will ever work on when it comes to analyzing a series. So, subscribe, because I'm gonna do something that no YouTuber has ever done before. To start off, I need to substantiate this claim that there will never ever be another story like One Piece. One Piece is a generally extremely light-hearted story. It's a goofy, fun adventure with fantastic characters in a fantastic world, where every arc tackles different themes and different layers of humanity through this jubilant lens of Luffy, the main character, an optimistic fellow who wants to become the freest man in the world. Not only, in my opinion, did One Piece push the entire anime and shonen scene forward, so that all the different stories that take inspiration from One Piece would not exist without One Piece, but I'd go as far as to say that none are actually able to capture that magic. At some point, perhaps one will, but if it does, it will only be able to do that because One Piece was its predecessor, and therefore it will continue to cement One Piece as a novel experience that will never happen again. To establish this point, CBR made an article, the 10 anime that are clearly inspired by One Piece. And if you look at them, every single one is so drastically different than One Piece in so many ways, and it does not fill that niche that One Piece actually does. Hunter x Hunter, because Gon follows his father just like Luffy follows the dreams of Shanks, which is a terrible, cringe comparison in my opinion, where One Piece is showing you the lightheartedness in a very dark and bleak world, and Hunter x Hunter is showing you just pure darkness. Not to say one is better than the other, but come on. It continues trying to include anime like Seven Deadly Sins, because it's a goofy cast. It's like, bro, how is that similar to One Piece? One Piece is like a totally different world from the Seven Deadly Sins. Every single character in the Straw Hat Pirates represents a different part, an integral part of humanity. And I'm gonna make an entire video later detailing and analyzing every single one of the Straw Hats. Just, you will not be ready for the announcement I'm gonna make in this video. The list also includes anime like Attack on Titan, because it has a support cast, and Promised Neverland, because the characters are on the run, just like Luffy's pirate crew was on the run from the Marines, and Black Clover, because, oh, he wants to become the Wizard King, just like Luffy wants to become the Pirate King. As you can see, the actual inspiration drawn by all of these other anime to One Piece is negligible at best. One Piece definitely can make every mangaka and every manga that exists later as something that wants to become something that's One Piece sized in scale perhaps, but it will never capture the magic of One Piece because One Piece is something so inherently powerful that no other manga has, and that is perspective. Now, I think the cast is one of the best written anime casts of all time. Again, as I've mentioned, every single one of the Straw Hat Pirates represents a different integral part of humanity. Video on that later. Every antagonist in One Piece also follows the same idea, except instead of following, you know, what makes humans good, it follows what makes humans turn out bad. Every single different saga and every different arc gets into this clash if humanity is naturally a good thing or a bad thing. The way themes are covered throughout the entire One Piece story. And I think the easiest and best example of this is the epic clash between Akainu, one of the major marine guys, and Blackbeard, one of the major pirate guys, where they are two major antagonists to the One Piece story, where Akainu is a character that believes in brutal authoritarianism, to the point that no one has freedom, everyone is confined and subjugated into a system that they have no choice but to follow orders, and Blackbeard, a different antagonist, believes in absolute anarchy, which technically is absolute freedom, except if it's just anarchy, the strong will always prey on the weak, there will be no government to protect anyone, and once again, that devolves into chaos. Both of these extremes are bad, and that is why we have a main character like Luffy, someone who believes in A, freedom. He's running away from the Marines. He doesn't think he should be bound by these codes and these really rough authoritarian rules, but also he believes in justice. He'll stop off on different islands on his adventure to try to free them from some tyrannical government or evil overlord trying to take over the country. Luffy is that perfect blend between the two massively different political ideologies, being anarchism and authoritarianism. And he'll do that with his optimistic, almost childlike persona that he manages to contain and possess for the entirety of the One Piece story. There will never ever be another story like One Piece, because One Piece is a story that introduces a world that, if you look at the world in a power vacuum, it is incredibly dark. You have the Marines and the world government that are trying to maintain order while also ruling with an iron fist, wiping out traces of history so that people don't learn the truth about the world, so no one will have enough information to want to rebel against them. You have different pirate crews that are all so powerful, vying for the position of Pirate King, where they can become the most powerful and potentially overthrow the government, with 4 different emperors, each one containing an army that's pretty much the size of the entire Marine world government forces. There's a revolutionary army that's being gathered also to revolt, which, I mean, obviously will have casualties. Every different character has different alliances and different reasons why they fight, whether it's for personal gain or for others, and One Piece's world is a beating heart that exists in a vacuum without the main characters. I love how when we follow our main character's adventures in many different areas, off screen, in another part of the world, some massive changes are happening that have absolutely nothing to do with the domino effect caused by the main characters. So here you got Luffy, an incredibly small fish in an incredibly big world, as he grows and grows and grows in infamy and manages to make a name for himself to the point that he starts knocking over dominoes and sees what butterfly effects that might cause somewhere else. And as he continued to grow, and as we continue to see the world through his eyes, we start to see this dark, bleak world, much like ours in many ways, covered in turmoil and strife, even though it's on a much more cartoonish scale, except we are seeing it through Luffy's perspective. We are seeing it through the eyes of a boy who believes in people, who sees them for who they are, no matter their race or background, and he accepts them for who they are. It's a novel perspective, because it's a perspective that we could learn from and that we need to start to implement in our daily lives. You see toxic fights between the far right and the far left, and you see Twitter going ham and everything. And if you just looked at it through a Luffy perspective that says, yeah, every extreme is wrong, and you learn to laugh a little bit, you learn not to take everything too seriously, you start to actually have a much healthier mindset going forward and meeting people and accepting people for who they are. One Piece teaches you how to live, teaches you how to navigate a world as convoluted and toxic as the world in One Piece is. It's a story that is so endlessly sprawling and so infinitely long that it's something you could just get absolutely lost in. Every single arc is integral to the greater storyline. Every arc, every character just makes the world feel so much more alive. I could give you a million examples of this, but there's a reason why I'm not. So I'm gonna do my little announcement thing. There will never ever be another story like One Piece. And that is why I, Lord Nuxanor, am entering the Great Pirate Era. I am going to be overanalyzing One Piece. You can expect every single week, once a week, an analysis video on One Piece. I will be starting basically from the beginning, and I will be going more or less in chronological order, and I am covering everything. And I'm gonna talk about what makes One Piece so goddamn good. For the first couple of weeks, you could expect videos like an overpowered done right on Shanks, an underpowered done right on Buggy, and yep, as I mentioned, that purpose of every single character in the Straw Hat crew. I will be jumping around a little bit, but I will primarily be going chronologically. I am gonna overanalyze the crap out of One Piece and prove to everyone that One Piece is a modern classic. If you look at classics in literature and you want to see like what defines a classic, it's defined as a novel that makes a contribution to literature. And One Piece absolutely did, with the amount of people and stories that it inspired in so many ways, with a magic that it has that I have not seen recreated anywhere. I think One Piece absolutely deserves its status of a modern classic. If you're on the fence about reading One Piece because, you know, it's extremely long, get off that fence. Start the goddamn journey. The story's coming to a close after so many years, and you want to be part of that community when you see that final chapter drop. One Piece created the greatest mystery in modern literature, and I am absolutely going to make another video talking about that, because I hope you're excited for the Great Pirate Era of Nuxanor. Every week, I am making an analysis on One Piece. It's time to overanalyze this goddamn work of art. I'm even going to get to know and understand Zoro, believe it or not. Isn't that crazy? But for all the reasons that I have mentioned, and all the reasons that I will mention once a week for the next potential years, I have a lot of video ideas in the back burner, and I want you to let me know different stuff you want me to cover. Again, please chronologically, but definitely subscribe. Leave a like. Join me on the Great Pirate Era. Join me on our quest for the One Piece.